Hello there. My name is Hunter Buren. I'm a HubSpot Implementation Specialist here at Evenbound, and today I'm going to walk you through how to create a ticketing pipeline inside of HubSpot, what it's used for, and how you can edit it to work for your company. So the first thing that we want to talk through here is what is a ticketing pipeline and what are tickets used for inside of HubSpot. As you can see here, we've got a test default support pipeline built out inside of our demo account. Now, what a ticket pipeline is used for inside of HubSpot is keeping track of current customer service requests. You can also utilize this to see previous service requests, anything that there is a request for help from a current customer, you can create a ticket for inside of HubSpot to help manage these support requests, to keep track of historical data surrounding these requests, and things like that. You can also utilize these tickets to route these support requests to the correct people on your team. And you can really utilize these to ensure that any issues your customers are facing don't fall through the cracks. If someone reaches out to you, you have a note and you have a record of all of that previous communication in a way to track all of that information to see anything like that. So now that you've determined that you want to build out a ticket pipeline inside of HubSpot, let's talk through how to build out that pipeline. To find your default ticket support pipeline, you're going to go over under the service tab and click on tickets, and it's going to take you to your default support pipeline. That shouldn't have any of this default info that we have created inside of here. As you can see, when you initially view your ticket support pipeline, it's going to have 4 separate stages of your ticket pipeline. The new stage, that's going to indicate that a support ticket has come in but has not yet been worked. Waiting on contact, that's going to mean that your team has responded and you are waiting on the contact's response now. Waiting on us is the same thing, but you're waiting on your team to respond back to the contact. And then closed is going to be determined when the ticket is actually closed, once that support request has been worked and you no longer need to help the client out on this information. Now, with this default pipeline, there's also going to be some default properties created. With all of these default things, you can update these and change these to work for your specific team. Let's look at those default properties that are created. You go over to settings, go down to properties, and then select ticket properties. That's going to showcase all of the different ticket properties that HubSpot has automatically created for you to track information around a specific ticket. You can see that HubSpot has about 50 default properties. And when thinking through your ticket properties and your pipeline stages, you need to know, do these work for my company, or is there any in additional information that I want to track here? So similar with the ticket stages that we went through a bit ago, these can all be customized, which I'll show you how to do that in a second, and work for your company. So for example, is there anything that my company needs to track that is specific to us? And should I create a property for that, or should I just edit an existing ticket property inside of here? As we can see, we have a lot of different ticket properties in here. Create date, that's going to be the date that the ticket was created. Close date is going to be the date that the ticket was closed. A lot of different information around here. So looking through these different properties that HubSpot has default created, you can see if these work for you, if you need to edit any of these, or if you need to create a new property. For example, we see this category property. If we edit this and see, these are the default categories that HubSpot has for support tickets. So a product issue, a billing issue, feature request, and general inquiry. If there is anything specific that your team is working on that you can categorize your tickets into, you can add that as an option here. If there's anything in here that doesn't really fit with you, like you don't have products that would have issues, you can delete that option as well, so your team's not utilizing that. In addition, if you don't find a property that you can edit when you're thinking of properties that your team wants to add as a custom thing, you can create that property over here in this create property button and add that. So once you've thought through the different ticket properties, the different information that you want to track on a ticket, you're also going to want to look through and think through these default stages. Think through, are these the stages that our support process goes through, or do these need to be edited? Do we need to add anything? Do we need to subtract anything? And then make those changes with your team. There's a couple ways to edit your ticket pipeline. If you're in the service tickets section, you can click this board options and click edit stages. This will then open up a new tab for you and take you to the back end of your ticket pipeline where you can edit those stages. Another way to get here is by clicking on settings, scrolling down to the objects drop down, and clicking tickets, and then clicking pipelines. Once tickets loads up, they'll both take you to this page. Now, if your team has determined, I like some of these stages inside of our ticket pipeline, but some of them don't make sense for my team. Or if you want to add an additional stage, this is where you can do that. So if you want to retitle this waiting on contact stage to something that's default to your team, you can just delete those options and retitle it whatever you would like. Same with the waiting on us, closed, anything like that. You can add in a new status using this add status button, and if there's anything that you don't need in here, you can delete it as well. In addition, while you are editing these stages, or if you're keeping it the same, there's another thing you can do in here that is a helpful option as well. You can add conditional status properties. What this means, what a conditional status property is going to be a property that pops up when a ticket moves into a certain status. It can be required to move that ticket into that certain status, or it doesn't have to be required. It can just be something that pops up. So for example, close date is something that is automatically set by the day that you move a ticket into closed. But if you want to add close date just for your team to see in case they didn't move that ticket into the day that it actually closed out, you can add in that close date property. You can make it required or not. And then once we click next and click save, if we were to move a ticket now into that close date stage from our pipeline, we'll do this waiting on contact ticket. It's going to pop up that close date property. Let me reload to make sure that it does. We'll go back and do this. Yep. So once we are moving into this stage, we've got that close date property popping up, and we can know, let's set it as today. Once we have actually filled that out, we can click save, and that will now be live inside of our test pipeline for everyone inside of our team that's utilizing this ticketing pipeline. Now, the next things that we can do in here is adding some additional customizations as well. When you're in these ticket settings, you can also edit what information shows up on ticket portals in this record customization tab. Something I always recommend is customizing the left and the right sidebar for tickets. Now, if we click into a test ticket right here, we can see the default information that we have set. In this left-hand side, we can see all of those properties that we have set as a default for everyone to view. On this right-hand side, we can see all of the associations that we have set. Now, these are going to be set when you create your ticket pipeline. Those are going to be just set to the defaults that HubSpot has. However, each company wants to see different information, different ticket properties that are important to them, and different associations that are important or aren't important to them as well. That's where customizing these sidebars is going to be helpful. Customizing the left sidebar, you can click that, and you can create your default view for everyone on your team. It's going to take you to this section where you can drop this section down, add the information that you want. For example, if I want to add that category property, you can drag it and drop it wherever you would like. You can get rid of any certain properties. And in addition to this, if you want to have separate sections of properties, for example, if different categories have different information that you need to capture, you can add different sections for those different informations, and you can even make those sections conditional on, for example, that category property or anything like that. Say I've added that category property to our left-hand side of about this ticket. I'm going to click save so that it saves for the whole team. And now if I were to go back into my test closed ticket and reload that section, category we can now see lives on that left-hand side. And I see that it's not filled out, so I can fill this information out for this ticket. In addition to this, customizing the right sidebar is very similar. Click customize that right sidebar, click the detailed view. This is where you can reorder all of those different associations and get rid of other associations as well. For example, this includes a lot of different associations. If there are things that your company doesn't need, for example, like these, like if you don't associate multiple tickets to each other, past feedback, things like that, you can remove them so that your team isn't looking at information that isn't relevant to them. The last thing that you can do that I think is important in this ticket setup section is in the setup tab itself, you can customize the create a ticket form. So if your team is creating tickets manually inside of HubSpot, you can edit which information is required to create tickets and which information shows up in that create a ticket form for your team to view. Now, once you have edited your ticket pipeline to match the different things that you want to see inside of matching the different statuses that you want, editing those conditional status properties, anything like that, adding the left-hand sidebar, this is where you can add in pipeline automation as well. In addition, I have been walking through our standard support pipeline, and that's something that will be created in the service and ticket section automatically. If your team is working in multiple different customer service options that you want to separate out into different pipelines, you can create a new pipeline by clicking on this drop down right here and clicking create pipeline. So let's talk through automation and ticket automation. Like everything in HubSpot, there are 1,000 different ways to automate things inside of your tool, and a lot of different information that you can automate. I recommend to definitely automate parts of your ticketing process, but keep other parts obviously manual. One of the automations that HubSpot has as a default option inside of your ticket pipeline is in the Automate tab inside of your ticket settings. You can click these buttons to automate your ticket statuses. So checking each of these boxes will automatically update the ticket status based on the last email that was either received or sent. If a email was sent from your team and that was the last one logged to that ticket, it's going to move to the waiting on contact stage because you're waiting on that contact to reply. Same on if your team receives a reply, then it's going to move to waiting on us because your team is going to need to reply back to that. Now, in addition to this automation, there's a couple of other types of automations for tickets that you can set up as well. One of those being auto creating tickets from a team email or from a form submission. So with this, auto creating tickets from a team email, this is where you would set up a connected inbox. So again, in your settings, you can click through the inboxes section, and this will take you to your inbox. Automating email or tickets to be created from an email is incredibly helpful if you have a team email account, for example, a support at your company. If you connect that as a channel inside of your inboxes, you can automatically create any new message that comes into that email as a support ticket. So connecting the channel, you can do so by clicking here. We already have one set up and connected. If I click edit and click over into the automation tab, this is where we can see that we can check this box to automatically create a ticket. And if we click this edit ticket info, we can see all of the default information that this is set to, what stage, what pipeline, what priority, any other ticket priorities, properties, and things like that. The other way to auto create tickets inside of your account is via a HubSpot form. You can add ticket fields to your HubSpot forms, and that will automatically create a ticket when someone fills out that form. As we see here, I'm inside of a form that we edited, and we can see right here, there's the option to add ticket properties inside of this form. You can connect it to an inbox, and now that we've added those, clicked on that ticket properties, it's going to add the 2 required ticket properties to create a ticket automatically from a form submission, and that is the name, the subject, and the content of the ticket, the name and description. You can also add in any other information as well. Ticket forms, auto creating those is really helpful for like an internal form for people to use, as well as an external form hosted on your site and everything like that. The last automation that your team can do is creating workflows around tickets. As I mentioned when talking through automation, there is a ton of different ways you can do work in with creating workflows and actually building those out inside of HubSpot. But one of those things that I like to do as if your team has set categories that you are working in is to create a ticket routing workflow. How you would do that is create a workflow from scratch, create a ticket-based workflow, click the next, and then all we would have to do here is set up the triggers to see that that category property inside of your ticket is known. We can do is known, and now we can click save. Once that category on your ticket is known, you can create different branches for each of those different categories and assign that ticket to an individual based on that specific category. So if we add that filter for category for our first branch is any of product issue, we can add that title in, And then we would continue this for each of our individual property categories that we're working with. And then all we would have to do here is set that property value of the owner to a specific person that we're working inside of HubSpot. Now, as I mentioned, there's a ton of different ways you can automate things inside of your tickets, and a ton of different ways you can create that automation. These are kind of the default ways, which is either auto creating tickets, auto assigning tickets, or auto moving the stages based on those different emails. Once your stages are customized, your statuses are customized, your properties are created, your automation is built out, and you've customized everything, you are now ready to utilize your ticket pipeline. To create a ticket manually, you're just going to click this create ticket button, title that whatever you would like, add in that information that you've already set on the ticket form, add in your contact and company that are associated to this, click create, and it's going to automatically take you to that ticket, and it will now live in your ticket support pipeline. I hope this video helped serve a little bit more information on what tickets are inside of HubSpot, how you can use them for your specific business use case, how you can automate based on them, and how you can track all of your information, previous support requests, and current support requests as well. I work with the ticketing pipeline a ton with my day-to-day job, and I've found it incredibly useful to track customer support requests through this specific tool. If you have any questions around this, definitely feel free to reach out to the Evenbound team, and we'd love to talk through how ticketing can work for your specific use case and how you can utilize this to the best of its ability. All right. Have a great day.